Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Noah Unleashed. If you're new here, hi. I'm Melball. I like watching Japanese wrestling, and this is Noah Unleashed, a weekly news and review show where I talk about my favorite Japanese wrestling company, Pro Wrestling Noah. If you're not new here, welcome back to the glorious, glorious chaos. That is your Melball. October has been a chaotic month for the Melball, but we have some kind of blessing coming for us in the beginning of November because we have the Noah Grand Prix coming up, and I have another video that is going to be coming out very soon about all the participants in that and what my predictions are for that tournament. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to OLE, and turn on notifications to be alerted when that video comes out. In the meantime, we are going to get into this show for this video, which is going to be the Sunny Voyage show that took place on October 26th. We had some amazing debuts here, but first we need to talk about some real quick importante news, or at least it's importante to me because I really like this wrestler, and that is Yohei. Yohei has successfully undergone surgery and is in the process of rehabbing that medial meniscus tear. I always forget which injury he has, partially because I don't want to acknowledge that he has one. I want him back, but he has successfully gone through surgery. He is getting rehab right now and will hopefully be back in the ring before you know it, which, I know it. So hopefully he brings back with him Yuto Kikuchi. However, that is a completely different rant for a completely different day. We're going to get into the Sunny Voyage show. Without further ado, we're going to get into match number 1, which was a tag team match featuring the team of Manabu, Soya, and Eita taking on Muhammad Yone and Hajime Ohara. I found this to be a very interesting combination, again, because Manabu Soya kind of afloat in an ocean of emptiness right now, with most of his team not being either at Pro Wrestling Noah right now, out on injury, or abandoning him. So it was nice to see him teaming with Eita. I don't know if there's a camaraderie there, but they were functional at least. So let's get into the match. So Soya, in again with his homage, if you will, to the rest of the Passion Retells, wearing the bandana, the headband. I love seeing it. So we started off with Eita and Ohara getting the crowd chanting and cheering for them. They keep the pace very slow, very suspiciously slow, because these guys are usually both very, very high energy and go junior style. So it was interesting to see them kind of doing this. At one point, Eita did try to leave because the crowd was cheering for Ohara more. However, he was convinced to come back into the ring by Soya. So Ohara putting Eita in a bow and arrow. I've been saying it for the last couple videos. I love me a good bow and arrow. It's nice to see them a lot more now. It's becoming a regular occurrence, which I'm not going to complain about in the least. So there was a taunt off by Yone and Soya, with Yone eventually knocking Soya down with a shoulder tackle and a disco pose. Soya chopping Ohara off of his feet, then calling in Eita, where they hit Ohara with a double shoulder tackle. A single leg crab by Ohara and Eita, which Eita is able to eventually escape. There's a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Ohara and Eita, but he does come back with an arm drag and solid drop kick. Pin reversals by Eita and Ohara before Eita rolls through and hits a solid PK. The desperation moves from Eita are just so good and look so stiff and rough. So chops and strikes between Yone and Soya before Yone sends Soya to the corner, but he reverses into his Soya Bulldog. A single leg drop kick by Yone on Soya, followed by picking up speed on the ropes and hitting a massive lariat. Yone puts Soya on the top turnbuckle, but Soya is able to kick him and delivers a diving knee, knocking down Yone. So the finish comes with a Death Valley driver by Soya, followed by that massive lariat out of the corner on Yone for the win in the opening match. It is very fascinating, the angle that they're working with Soya right now. And again, as I said, he's kind of like listing in an ocean alone on a rowboat, just kind of trying to pass the time, it feels. He's teaming with a bunch of people that he would usually be against with his Passion Ratel's brethren. And it is my hope, though, that in this absence of Daiki Inaba, of Yohei, of Kikuchi, question mark, and of Saxon Huxley, I'm curious, and what I would like to see is Soya kind of expand the ranks a little bit. I know that Daiki is his regular partner, but he is kind of almost a target right now. I mean, who would want to target Manabu Soya, Team 2000X? But it bothers me to see him alone. It bothers me to see Kikuchi now gone as well. It seemed to be his only kind of buddy that he had there. I would like to see the ranks of the Passion Ratels start to kind of maybe go through a little adjustment in the absence of the other members. So, from here, we're going to move on to match number 2, which was a singles match between Shuhei Taniguchi and Atsushi Kotoge. This was a very matte start. Kotoge locking in a headbutt, not wanting to let go, is a very, very slower start, which Kotoge is one of those guys who can really work any angle. He can keep it slow, he can keep it fast. Working with someone like Taniguchi, he's usually more of a power guy and a mat guy, so it was interesting to see him opting for the mat kind of go in this situation. So, Taniguchi able to send Kotoge to the ropes, but Kotoge hits a big boot and then stands defiant in the face of Taniguchi, who then kicks Kotoge and puts him in a headlock before Kotoge just pushes him off to the ropes and then hits a massive shoulder tackle, gets a massive shoulder tackle from Taniguchi. So there was a chop and strike exchange that ends with Taniguchi shoulder tackling Kotoge down and then stomping him in the corner. Good old Stone Cold style. There's a face lock by Taniguchi on Kotoge, but Kotoge is able to kind of wiggle to the ropes. Kotoge reverses a suplex attempt to land one of his own and then lands a head scissors choke on the rope. He then hits a Maxim cutter, which is that roll-in cutter that he does for 2, followed by a PK attempt, but Taniguchi does catch the foot and knocks him down with a wicked lariat. So there was a pair of run-in lariats in the corner, followed by a back body drop for 2 by Taniguchi on Kotoge. There's a chokeslam attempt by Taniguchi, which is reversed with an arm drag and then fed into an inside knee strike, followed by a frog splash for 2 by Kotoge. Headbutts back and forth, always making me uncomfortable, but these guys, they're not, this is going to sound weird, they're not raw dogging it. It's not skull to skull. These guys are very smart with their stuff. You know, Taniguchi tends to, because of his just size in comparison to most people, he tends to end up hitting pretty low on the chest, whereas Kotoge, if you know, you know. It just is a very, very smart way to do the headbutts. They still make me uncomfortable, though. Kotoge coming out on top of the headbutt exchange, but gets a clothesline from Taniguchi. So the finish comes here, guys, with a waistlock by Taniguchi, which is reversed by Kotoge, who hits a jumping pump kick and then waistlocks Taniguchi, who then goes to the ropes and hangs on to kind of roll Kotoge back. But on the follow-up, Kotoge grabs the arms and feeds Taniguchi into the kill switch for the win. Very sneaky, sudden end to this match, but I loved it. It was a great way to end this one because the power of Taniguchi is very, very hard to combat. I love the way that they're finding to kind of get him defeated and getting other people some wins. I really appreciate that that Kotoge did win this one. I feel like he's one of those guys who they kind of sleep on a little bit and I don't know why. I don't know why, but he has, he's such an educated and talented wrestler, both in a traditional sense, but also in that technical sense. The combination of him and Hajime Ohara is just so good because you have that cool, calm education of Kotoge and then that just amazing, chaotic lucha energy of Ohara that just makes them a perfect tag team. But with them kind of clearly separating the two right now, I would love to see them give Kotoge a little bit of a rub, especially with Yohei kind of being out of the junior division right now. So moving on to match number 3, which is a three-way three-way match between AMAKUSA taking on Junta Miyawaki taking on Black Mensore. So, in the beginning, they're flat out ignoring Black Mensore, Junta, and AMAKUSA, and Black Mensore is quite literally tapping Miyawaki on the shoulder. Miyawaki's just no, he's too focused on AMAKUSA, and there's still some tension going on there. Again, Miyawaki, he's going through a weird phase right now where everybody seems to be an enemy. The whole feud and thing going on with Hiromu Takahashi, having the GHC title, the juniors kind of like a little bit upset about this, and then his constant bickering with Kai Fujimura that's kind of like on display right now. We got another match coming with them on the 8th. It's very interesting character that we're seeing coming out of Miyawaki right now. So, chain wrestling in the beginning with Mensore pretty much an observer, just standing there until they were done and squaring up and just going, yeah. So I'm in this too, right? Like, I found the story in this between Mensore and the other two competitors very, very amusing. So, Miyawaki hits his signature second rope plancha to AMAKUSA on the outside, but Mensore does a Zaw strike to Miyawaki to try to steal the pin. Mensore trying the rope walk, but AMAKUSA shaking the ropes, knocking him down. Miyawaki hitting the ropes and gaining speed for that signature running back elbow, but AMAKUSA follows up with a tope suicida and a top buckle back elbow. Top buckle back elbow. Oh, yeah, because he jumped off the top rope and hit a back elbow. Judo toss by Miyawaki on AMAKUSA, but Mensore into pinned both of them in failing attempts. There's a Za strike to the eyes and chops by Mensore to Miyawaki before he locks on an abdominal stretch, which is broken up by AMAKUSA. There's a Rana off the top rope by AMAKUSA to Black Mensore. A drop kick by Miyawaki on AMAKUSA, which he looks like he's going to go for a suplex after on AMAKUSA, but Mensore grabs the waist and hits a German suplex on Miyawaki, who then hits a brainbuster on AMAKUSA inadvertently. Very, very interesting match, and the glorious chaos that Black Mensore just seems to be able to effortlessly work in is extremely impressive. Miyawaki and AMAKUSA initially going for a double suplex on Mensore, but Miyawaki betrays AMAKUSA. The betrayal kind of skirts around him and then ends up suplexing AMAKUSA. Now, when Miyawaki and Mensore go to celebrate, Mensore does a Zaw strike on Miyawaki and an inside cradle attempt, but there is on the follow-up of the Zaw strike afterwards, Miyawaki sends Mensore into AMAKUSA on the apron, which pushes AMAKUSA off there. He hits the German suplex hold on Mensore, and Junta Miyawaki picks up the win in this match. The storytelling that's happening right now, again, as I mentioned, with Miyawaki is just wild right now. He's another one, much like Kaito Kiyomiya, that I'm not entirely sure what it is that Noah is doing with him. And at this point, I'm not entirely sure that Noah quite knows what they're doing with him. That being said, he is one of the most over people in that locker room. The crowd looks forward to seeing him. They love the Sunshine Hero gimmick. I feel like we're almost at a crossroads with the character in that they either really do need to start banking on the popularity of Junta Miyawaki or Masa Kitamiya that shit and shock the world and turn him black. Because something dramatic needs to happen with Miyawaki, and it needs to happen soon before we start to forget what he's capable of in the ring. That being said, though, I do enjoy the constant beefing with people like AMAKUSA, with Takahashi, with Fujimura. because it's bringing out a very interesting and aggressive side of Miyawaki that I'm curious to see where it goes. So, from here, we're going to talk about match number 4, which was a tag team match featuring the team of Los Golpeadores, Alpha Wolf, and Dragon Bane taking on WWE NXT superstars Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. As per usual, I'm going in blind with these guys. I have heard of them, but I did not look into their background or what it is that they've done or accomplished, which, let me tell you, with even with Japanese commentary, made figuring out the moves of this a little difficult. I did have to look them up. Thank goodness for Google sometimes. So we're going to get into this match. Just off the hot from seeing Hank and Tank. I love those jerseys. Coming in, very, very high energy team. It's giving me very positive vibes, almost like a modern, oh no. I don't remember what the tag team's name was, but it was Otis and somebody else. I can't remember who his original tag team guy was, but it's kind of given me like almost like modern day versions of that, like almost like a football or hockey vibe of that. So I really enjoyed it off the hop there. I love the high energy, especially coming from bigger guys. That means that they are going to do very, very well. And against something at the team like Los Copiadores, you need to do well. So let's get into it. So we start off with Alpha Wolf having a shoulder tackle battle with Ledger, and maybe a bit thrown off by the fact that Ledger wasn't going down. Alpha Wolf is used to being the kind of bigger power in the ring. At this point in time, Alpha Wolf was kind of on par with both Ledger and Walker. Dragonbane was kind of almost at a disadvantage at this. So I have to finish my thought on that. Okay, so we got a shoulder tackle battle with Ledger. Alpha Wolf being a little thrown off by the fact that Ledger's not going down. This leads to the first nom nom. The first taste. And it seems that whatever was upsetting Alpha Wolf's stomach in the days prior has subsided. The American meat is apparently pretty good. So Ledger paying back Alpha Wolf right away, though. We don't count that nom nom because that's not an Alpha Wolf nom nom, but I appreciate the turnabout, because turnabout is fair play. And if you're going to put it in your mouth, you better be expecting somebody else to put it in their mouth as well. It was still a hilarious point, too, because not a lot of people in the locker room are willing to do that. Like, we've seen Alejandro be ballsy enough with it, but right now I'm not recalling off the top of my head anybody else who's been ballsy enough to do that to Alpha Wolf. So, Walker in an overpowering Dragonbane, more than I expected. But again, Dragonbane, he's smaller than Alpha Wolf, and Alpha Wolf was on par with Ledger and Walker, so it wasn't surprising a little bit to me that he was starting to get overpowered, but he did start to put in that bob and weave mentality that kind of helps him usually, especially against someone like Galeno in the past. So, Hank and Tank grabbing Los Copiadores and banging their backs together like they're cheering a beer and dropping them for some front slams. Like that move. Really like that move. Dragonbane hung out to dry on the corner, and then Walker grabs Ledger's head and just sends him into the gut of Dragonbane. Dragonbane enduring some punishment here before Alpha Wolf does come in, and we get our second nom nom of the Alpha Wolf nom nom of the match, on what I assume was the kind of tummy area of Walker. He was kind of like playing with his tummy in the beginning, with the jersey, kind of lifting it up and kind of playing with his tummy. So I think that's what he kind of nibbled on there. But then picks him up for a scoop body slam and then turns his attention to Ledger. Ledger tosses Alpha Wolf to the apron, but Alpha Wolf bounces Ledger off the buckle and then hits that awesome buckle kick that he does to the head, before hitting a senton from the apron back to the inside. So Los Copiadores hitting their stereo tope con hilos, something weird kind of happened to Alpha Wolf's knee at this point. I don't know if he just landed a little funny, but he did kind of favor it just a little bit for the rest of the match. Hopefully that's not a big issue, but I did notice he didn't get up quite as quickly as Dragon Bane did. So Los Copiadores doing that hip toss double team, followed by the head spring drop kicks I love. So jumping knee by Ledger on Alpha Wolf. Oh, I lost my spot as soon as I lost it. Jumping knee by Ledger on Alpha Wolf. Jumping knee by Dragon Bane on Ledger. Ledger with a cartwheel into a huge inside-out lariat on Dragon Bane. And then Alpha Wolf comes back in with a thrust kick and an enziguri to Ledger, but Walker pushes Ledger out of the way on the follow-up and hits Alpha Wolf with a spinning side slam, and then eats a Spanish fly from Dragonbane, who then gets a face slam from Ledger. It was everybody popping off their strongest stuff, trying to put everyone down. This is not even something I feel that I can accurately just describe to you guys. You guys have to subscribe to Wrestle Universe to catch this incredible match. We'll talk about that at the end of the show here. So Dragonbane hitting Walker with a rolling DVD, and then Alpha Wolf hitting the top rope moonsault, followed by Dragonbane hitting a moonsault off of his brother. But Walker does get the knees up, and Dragonbane does land on that. So the finish comes with Ledger hitting a springboard shoulder tackle on Alpha Wolf, and then Hank and Tank squish Dragonbane in the middle and follow up with a power slam back elbow that they call collision course for the win, pinning the national champion. Just saying. On top of being able to say that they are a dominant tag team, one of them can technically challenge. We're going to move on from that, though, with a big win for Ledger and Walker, Hank and Tank coming into Team Noah, Pro Wrestling Noah, and just obliterating one of the best tag teams that is in that locker room, Los Copiadores. It was absolutely insane. My thoughts of both Ledger and Walker is that they're both very, very well educated in the ring there. They have a very good in-ring presence on top of in-ring ability. Like, they can perform the moves so well. But then on top of that, there seems to be an effortless charisma that they have that is very outward. It's one of those very outward, charismatic kind of moments that gets the crowd very excited. They know how to get the crowd to cheer. They know how to get the crowd to chant. They knew the right times to do that as well. It wasn't weird, awkward times. Very, very cohesive tag team. Very, very impressive. Wouldn't mind seeing for the tag championships. We'll talk about that a little later. Official nom count on this match was 2. 2. 3 if you include the nom at the beginning from, I believe it was Walker. Yes, Walker. But 2 for Alpha Wolf. So from here, we're going to move on to match number 5, which was a 6-man tag team match that featured the Team 2000X combination of Masa Kitamiya, Takashi Sugiura, and Tadasuke with Yoshitatsu, taking on Naomichi Marufuji, Kenoh, and Daiki Odashima. I had a lot of notes on this match. I'm gonna try to go through it as quickly as possible for you guys. This was a slower paced start match with Marufuji landing a lot of kicks on Kitamiya, but Kitamiya landing a body slam. Hard strikes between Kenoh and Sugiura, with Sugiura demanding Odashima, and he gets him. Odashima coming in hot with Sugiura, with all he had, and then bobbing and weaving to avoid the big guy. Very impressive that he was able to stay out of the grip of Sugiura for so long. But when he does get caught by him, he is being tossed around into the corner, but drops to the floor, just kind of sits down to avoid an incoming Sugiura, who this causes Sugiura's face to like bounce off the buckle. As he's staggering backwards, Odashima skins the cat to the top rope here and then hits his big air drop kick on Sugiura. Sugiura from here tosses Odashima to the outside in the team's corner to a waiting Masa Kitamiya, who then beats on him and sends him into the barricades before sending him back into the ring, and Sugiura promptly puts him in a Boston Crab. So there's a struggle for a suplex between Odashima and Kitamiya. It was especially fun to see because this is the second time that Odashima has actually gotten Kitamiya almost into that position, but Kitamiya just kick, and gets himself back down on the ground. And then Odashima does actually hit a body drop reversal. So Tadasuke, going into the top rope, but I thought that we were gonna, like, I got excited because, like, I thought that we don't really see Tadasuke doing a whole ton of top rope stuff. So when I saw him go up there, I was like, what are we gonna get? We got nothing. we didn't get anything. He just kind of hopped off of there and just scratched the back of Odashima. Dermis Destroyer, made famous by ELP. So Kenoh coming in, booting Sugiura in the face and sending him to the outside, blocking a double team from the team, and then kicks the crap out of everyone because Kenoh. Tadasuke going for an eye poke, but instead eats a PK from Kenoh. Kitamiya sending Kenoh hard into the corner and then hitting a bulldog off of the rebound. Marufuji and Kenoh working together on Kitamiya, hitting an assisted knee, and Marufuji hitting a hook kick that feeds Kenoh's German suplex on Kitamiya, followed by a lariat and a double stomp on Tadasuke, and ending with Sugiura booting Kenoh, but getting a hook kick and a jumping knee from Marufuji before getting hit by a stiff lariat. Before hitting a stiff lariat to Marufuji and a pretty desperate spear on Kenoh. When the team gets desperate, their moves look killer. And Sugiura was very much struggling in this one, but man, was able to overpower them pretty good. Odashima managing to drop Kitamiya with a running drop Kitamiya with a running forearm, but the follow-up gut wrench attempt, he is not able to do it, is blocked, but he is able to hit his jumping spin around drop kick, dropping Kitamiya. Not dropping Kitamiya. Very little impact. The finish here comes Odashima ducking the lariat, but the first one anyway, but not the second one, and follows up with the pile driver on Odashima by Kitamiya, but Marufuji does break it up. The team then disposes of Marufuji and Kenoh. Kitamiya locks on the stranglehold, and Odashima is forced to tap out for the second time in the stranglehold. Post-match, the team beats down Odashima and Marufuji, who are both saved by Hank and Tank. Interesting. And as I said before, then it would be interesting to see them go for the tag team championships. Famous last words before watching the next match. Hank and Tank? What was I saying there? Hank and Tank lay down the challenge for the GHC Tag Team Championships against Takashi Sugiura, Masa Kitamiya. It was a hilariously amazing promo because it was so serious until Masa Kitamiya took the mic, cut his thing, and then started doing his laugh. And Walker, I believe it was Walker, starts doing the laugh back. It was just like, oh my God, this is really going to piss him off. I love this. So, this match has been made official and will happen on November 8th during the first round of the Noah Grand Prix, as well as the night that we see Junta Miyawaki taking on Kai Fujimura. Um, I am very excited about this tag team bout because we got just four powerhouses who we know are so very good. And I'm looking at the two teams going, there's a very distinct difference in the because they both are power teams, but they're both dramatically different styled power teams. Hank and Tank are definitely influenced by tosses, and also there's a fair amount of areas that they're capable of doing. Whereas Sugiura and Kitamiya, they are more grounder power guys. Like they like their brain busters, they like their shoulder tackles. They're a very traditional power, and with Kitamiya, very good amateur background. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys go at it. But that being said, the other story that I wanted to talk about is that I am missing the chaos dynamic between Naomichi, Marufuji, and Kenoh. Why are they working so well together? It was funnier when they were arguing. And why are they so cohesive? It's taken away a little bit of the humor for me. I loved the Osborne mentality of like they were very Sharon and Ozzy all the time. I loved it. I miss it. That being said, though, very functional tag team. And for me, this is like really making up for the last little while of things that we've been seeing, like with Marufuji, especially. The whole thing, like since Ozawa, and then also since Kenta, the match he had with Kenta, it's been some interesting points of view that have kind of been coming out about Marufuji. Some people are too keen on him sticking around in the ring too much longer. And that being said, there have been whisperings, and he's also been very candid recently about how he recognizes that his in-ring competition is maybe starting to kind of come to an end. So maybe we're going to start to see him getting a little bit more push to kind of finish up the things that he kind of wanted to do, similar to how they did with the Great Muta. We'll see how it goes from there. From here, we're going to go into match number 6, which was a singles match and a quick match between Yoshiki Inamura, and Shuji Kondo. So this was very much a power flexing match where these guys were just shoulder checking, chopping, both just hitting as hard as they could. At one point, Inamura hits Kondo with a forearm so hard he collapses. And I was like, oh my God, is he out? Dude, guy went limp. Kondo hitting a suplex on Inamura, and Inamura kicking his feet at the top of the suplex made me giggle a little bit. There was a shotgun dropkick by Inamura, followed by a belly-to-belly suplex, and the finish comes with Inamura hitting the Muso and then following up with that little bouncy, fun frog splash for the win over Shuji Kondo. Very, very good rub for Inamura going into his match with Kenta coming up, I believe, also on the 8th. I have the match card. It'll be all right there. It'll be interesting to see how they match, how they go together. I love that they're talking together, and I love that Inamura's thing is calling people Mr. Kenta. It made for a very hilarious ending of the show for the next match, which we're going to talk about right now. Meow. I entered the Twilight Zone and apparently an episode of Super Troopers. Match 7. We have an 8-man tag team match featuring Kenta, Ulka Sasaki, Tetsuya Endo, and Hayata, Team Melball, taking on All Rebellion, Kaito Kiyomiya, Harutoki, Alejandro, and Kai Fujimura. I love that the little ones are in the audience are so excited to see All Rebellion. There was a little girl that got up right away and ran over there with her little All Rebellion shirt. It was so cute. So cute. So cute. Anyway, okay. Alejandro trying to arb. I'm using the excuse that the sun has gone down. Alejandro trying to arm drag Endo. But Endo's so strong, he catches him and starts doing bicep curls with him, which I can appreciate. Alejandro then gets Endo down onto the mat, and Endo tenses up and won't actually let Alejandro bicep curl him. And it was funny. So Kenta Harutoki working on the headlock, keeping a nice kind of slower pace. There was a wrist lock reversal with Sasaki and Kiyomiya, with them hitting the ropes and essentially diving at each other. And then in midair, Sasaki is spinning down to the mat and uses the momentum to lock on a rear wrist lock, which that guy is so good with his transitions. Sasaki tying up Fujimura, especially on the left arm, quite a bit in this match, really working on that one before going into a bit of a pin reversal bit. Sasaki hitting a Pele kick to the arm and then hitting a single leg drop kick. Hayata continuing to punish the arm of Fujimura, hits an arm drag and then goes for the drop kick. I said that all wrong. Hayata continuing to punish the arm until Fujimura hits an arm drag and goes for a drop kick, but Hayata just simply moves out of the way. Hayata coming in to help Sasaki at one point, hitting an atomic drop on Fujimura, and Sasaki locks on an abdominal stretch while Hayata hits the ropes and lands a drop kick, and Sasaki pins him for 2. There's what I called an elegant backstabber from Endo endlessly on Fujimura. Fujimura trying to run in on Endo, but he keeps getting his foot up. Fujimura eventually catches the foot, though, and Endo beats him down and clears the corner before losing a suplex battle with Fujimura. Spanish Fly by Endo on Kiyomiya for 2, and only because he lifted the head, which I felt was a poor choice. At that point, Kiyomiya hits a dragon screw and then follows up. Oh, sorry, he hits a dragon screw, but luckily Endo is able to follow up with his power bomb backbreaker. A signature flipping forearm by Harutoki on Sasaki in the corner, followed by the top rope crossbody, and then Harutoki going for a drop kick, but Sasaki holds on to the rope and feeds Harutoki a very stiff PK. Get my notes up here. Okay, Alejandro with a tope con hilo on Hayata, but back in the ring, Hayata hits the second rope Frankensteiner. Kenta aggressive against Alejandro, hitting multiple kicks before Alejandro does his Tiger Fang kick to the apron, a high kick, and that jumping double stomp from the apron to Kenta's chest. All Rebellion with a quadruple drop kick on Kenta in the corner, followed by Kiyomiya, Fujimura, and Harutoki, all hitting planches to the outside, while Alejandro hits a big frog splash for 2. So the finish comes, you guys, with some glorious chaos as Kenta locks a crossface on Alejandro. Sasaki locks on an abdominal stretch and then locks his arm around the rope so that Harutoki cannot move. Hayata traps Fujimura in a cravat with a leg trap. And then Endo lifts up Kiyomiya into a torture rack. All Rebellion, all indisposed. Alejandro is forced to tap out. And we see Team Melball. Yay! Standing tall in the ring. I'm happy with this. At post-match, Kenta demanding Inamura come out and they have words. And then at one point, Kenta is like, okay, you're done. Go. It was really funny, though, because I mentioned how Inamura, when he cut his promo earlier in the night, he refers to Kenta as Mr. Kenta. Kenta also referring to Inamura as Mr. I just didn't write down if he wrote Yoshiki or Inamura. I'll have to rewatch it to find out. What I found was really funny is that after Kenta hands the mic to Endo, and again, I don't really know what was said, but what I caught was Mr. Kenta. Then he hands the mic to Alka Sasaki, and we hear another Mr. I didn't really hear what he said, though. Very, very soft-spoken. Man, I giggled. Everyone giggled. Hayata even spoke. Again, I don't know what was said, but the crowd laughed, so I assume it was funny. This was a really feel-good ending to this show. It was a really nice kind of rub. I felt that there was a lot of story progression going into the November 8th show, which is coming up very, very soon. I'm excited. That's like in a week now. Excited for that. But that all being said, you guys, this brings us to the end of the show. What did you guys think of this one? Did you guys have an opportunity to check this one out? Are you guys WWE NXT fans? What knowledge, what education can you impart on me about Hank and Tank, about Inamura, about Charlie Dempsey, about Harlem Lewis? I want to know about these guys. Tell me anything and everything about these guys, even if it's just what you think about them, how you like them or how you don't like them. Let me know in the comments down below so I can get a little bit better of an understanding of what these guys are doing. But that being said, WWE been sending over some really impressive people. Very, very impressed with what they're doing. So, that being said, you guys, if you're wanting to watch some pro wrestling, Noah, I will leave the link to Wrestle Universe in the description box below. It is 1,298 yen, approximately 13 Canadian or 9 US. It's a phenomenal price for some phenomenal wrestling because not only do you get access to Pro Wrestling Noah, you get access to DDT, you get access to Marigold, you get access to Tokyo Joshi Pro, Marvelous, and so much more. There's 10 companies total on there to go check out, and that is, again, for the price, low price of 13 Canadian, 9 American, 10 companies. That is utterly incredible. So go check it out, you guys, and then we can talk more wrestling. What's not to love about that? Also, while we're at it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to OLE, and turn on notifications to be alerted every time we drop a new video. And if you want a daily dose of your Melball, you can catch me on the X thing at Collins Melball. You can catch me on everything else, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, and Blue Sky at Melball Collins. So I have a couple more videos, as I mentioned, coming out for you guys this week. We're going to have the final review of the final episode of Monday Magic Extreme Series 2025, which featured some incredible matches that I'm very excited to share with you guys. And I will also be releasing the Noah Grand Prix predictions video, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I am your Melball. Matane! Mwah!